Holy smokes, folks. We are back on a Victory Sunday. It has been a long time, Chad, since we've got to say Victory Sunday. And
it feels like so 4 weeks.
I'm so happy. It does feel like 4 weeks. It feels like almost a whole month. Man.
Almost.
Jeepers, criminy. What a day. Yesterday was awesome. I cannot wait to break it down. I cannot wait to hear about what it was like watching it on TV. But I'm excited to share about the bus trip and all of that good stuff. But first, let's talk about our Kubota Dealers of South Dakota, 9 locations. It was fun. We were at the Coffee Cup getting picked up in Summit. Guess what we saw there, Chad, that they had a blade on?
A BX series tractor?
No, a Kubota side-by-side.
Oh, a side-by-side. Well, that makes sense, too. I mean,
with a little blade on the front. Yeah. And it was like, man, Kubota really is everywhere. And it's just great to see. So if you need something to help you move some snow this winter, go to one of the 9 locations in South Dakota, and they can get you hooked up with what you need, whether it's a tractor, a side-by-side, a compact tractor, a subcompact tractor like us. The front-end snowblower is really slick. So again, thank you, Kubota Dealers of South Dakota. In the lineup tonight, we have our very good friend Kevin Marshall joining us again tonight. So Kevin was on last night.
Hello, I'm just getting my setup complete, y'all. So
sorry,
you're good.
Nice win.
Bring you on before
nice
you're
win.
ready.
I don't think anybody thought you were going to get it, except for maybe the Jackrabbit Illustrated faithful. But the faithfulness was rewarded. That's for sure. So,
and by the way, everybody,
pleased. I know y'all are too.
Sorry, Kevin. By the way, everybody, you're welcome on the win. You can thank me later. You know, I went to a wedding. We were not winning. The guy got ejected, and I had to put my phone away. And then we were in the wedding, and the wedding got done, and I pulled my phone out just to see. Kind of leery to pull it out, but I pulled it out, and it was 28-20 Jackrabbits, and I was like, hot damn.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then I put it away, and I pulled it back out, and it's 28-28, and I was like, no. And so I was like, I'm not looking at it. Not gonna look at it. So I didn't look at it until my brother-in-law came up and showed me that we had won. So y'all are welcome. I took one for the team. I didn't watch the last half of that game, and because of that, we won. So congratulations to everyone.
You're never allowed to watch again, Chad.
I know.
There we go.
Have all of your honeydew projects, and your wife must plan things for you to do, like the pumpkin patch, or go out and get a turkey on your own, cut down a Christmas tree. You know, you're gonna have a lot of things to do here as we move along into playoffs, bro.
Speaking of which, she informed me that today is our anniversary, so 13 years.
Boy, you are cooked. She informed you that today
I love you.
is your anniversary. Yikes.
Hey, so those of you
that you didn't hear it, but I promise she said it.
There we go. Those of you that have listened for a few years now know that we have Kevin with us. We've had him on now. This is his 3rd year running on Selection Sunday. Our show, at least for Chad and I in Dallas, we focus a lot on the Jackrabbits. If you want to get into the national stuff, the B team does a good job of that, which Chad's a part of, and Scared Money Make Money does a good job of that as well on our show. Of course, you have all the national outlets, which we always give shout outs to, but we invite Kevin on to help us make sense of the bracket and what we can be watching. It's a little different this year because we are playing in the first round, so we won't just all be posted up watching ESPN Plus for this first weekend of games. But I'm excited to talk to Kevin here in a little bit, really get his thoughts on the bracket. I know he's been posting some on Twitter, and I'm excited to hear those just in person and get to talk about it a little bit more. But first, I want to start with the UND game. And we got to thank our show sponsor, Hadrick Ranch. Again, just if you need some of that top-end beef that's out there, some of the best you can get, the best that money can buy, Hadrick Ranch is it. They just celebrated this week down at Maury's Steakhouse down in Sioux Falls with an update to the menu down there. And it is that whole ranch to table CAB program, certified Angus beef that we talked about last week. And they have a menu item, and it's labeled right there for Maury's in Sioux Falls. Go check that out. Very happy for Troy and family. But if you can't make it to Sioux Falls and just want some of the beef yourself, go to hadrickranch.com and you can put together an order, a bundle that they have that can fill up your freezer if you want. So thank you, Hadrick Ranch. Appreciate it.
And I'll let you know that you might think it's really expensive, and it's not. There is a slight premium over what you can get at Walmart, but let's be honest, that is not the same beef. We're not talking apples to apples there. It's not that much more money, and it's far superior.
Yep. There we go. All right. So now we got to get into the game. One last thing before we get in the game. I just want to talk about the hospitality of Jackrabbit Nation. Talked about getting picked up in Summit at the Coffee Cup. Jim Poppin put together a tremendous trip, folks, with Dunewald Transportation. Shout out to our buddy Jim. It was awesome. I have a 10-year-old son. His name's Miles, and he had the time of his life yesterday. Said it was the best day of his life. Had so much fun. Lots of colorful language on the bus.
Yeah, he probably learned some new ones, huh?
New ones, yep. My wife's funny. When they turn, I don't know what age, but my wife's a counselor, Kevin, therapist. And when they turn a certain age, she just tells them all the bad words so that they're hearing it from her. And
well, that's one way to deal with it. That's not terrible.
Yeah. So they go and sit somewhere. She tells it to them. She lets them say it, whatever. Sees if they have any questions. And then that way they know. But I don't know. Miles' ears perked up a couple times and he did some head turning, but it was pretty darn funny. Anyways, Graham Goring, Kobe Claiborne, if you guys are listening or watching, thanks for taking some time out to take a picture with him yesterday. That was pretty cool. And then the Hagen family, Sam Hagen's family, even though he wasn't playing, he's from the area. They opened up the Hagen Wagon tailgating unit for a Thanksgiving meal. And that was really awesome. Like, that was great. Just delicious turkey. I forget who smoked that, but it was awesome. So thank you. UND fans were great. I said the Alaris Center was great. That was a lot of fun being there. Their PA guy sucks, though. That was awful.
It's worse than the
Coyotes, and that's strong words from Matt.
Oh, it's worse.
It's that you didn't want to say he stunk. Sucks is a strong. That's strong, man.
Well, everybody does if they hold their mouth just right, Kevin.
That's true.
So sorry. He's worse. He's worse than the people down at the Dakota dump, and he's worse than the Fargo dump. You know, that place. It's the sound system's actually good, but they have it cranked so much that it's almost as bad as the old dome sound system in Vermilion. As far as how it comes through, I know the sound system's actually high quality. I know the people that installed it, but what a game, Matt. That had to be fun on the bus. You could drink a few beers on the way up, you know, enjoy yourself with the folks, get to meet some of the people. I'm sure you met some people that are like, yeah, we like your show, which is always weird, isn't it? We're just fans too. I know that. Which side did you guys sit on then? Would have been the north side?
We were right behind south side. We were on SDSU sidelines. Yeah. We were right there by Grayton Gannon's touchdown and Goring's touchdown and the UND 2-point conversion. So we saw it all. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that makes for a long day, but it sure is lots less long when you come home with that W.
Yeah. So Kevin, I got to ask, because obviously Chad was doing wedding stuff. I was in the stadium. What was your thought kind of following along with the game when you saw like the halftime score? Were you watching it or were you just following along?
I watched every play, and I kind of thought for a minute, well, here we go again. Yeah. But then I remembered who you were playing, and I just kept waiting for North Dakota to North Dakota. And all you had to do was
away from home.
All you had to do was be a little patient, right? Yeah. That football team, they're still learning how to win ball games like that. And I thought maybe they had learned something when they were here playing the Grizzlies, that you take points when they're welcome against very, very good football teams. And they may have learned that lesson, but just some of the play calls in a couple of their football games, it seems to me that the Fighting Hawks have a real problem when it's 1st and goal at the 9. They just cannot seem to be able to punch the football in the end zone. And if they run the inside zone again on 3rd and 1, when there's 9 guys in the box waiting for it, that'll be the 100th time they've done that this year. So you just have to kind of question a little bit what the play calls were. But it was a very good win for the Jackrabbits. There's no doubt about that. And it's kind of ironic that both South Dakota teams had times during this season where people felt like all was lost. But I imagine in the winter out there, you might have those feelings, well, all is lost, right? So, but they're both going to be in the playoffs after going through some hiccups, some bumps, persevering, never quitting, never giving up. And that's impressive, man. I'm very impressed with the Jackrabbits. And I know this isn't a Yote show, but it's probably pretty good for, football in your state, with both of you being in the FCS playoffs and both of you being relevant nationally. So, but I thought that was kind of telling. I think it says a lot about the kind of people that live there, the kind of people that work there, that it's kind of the spirit of that state. You can shove us down, but we're going to get right back up. Spring is going to come eventually, right? Yeah. And you're going to change out your Kubota products.
Yeah, right.
You're gonna.
Well, I mean, you got to put your lawnmower on,
right? All the stuff's going to be orange. It's just going to look a little different.
Yeah. Hey, so again, in there, the ebbs and flows of a game, right? We go down and we score a touchdown. Or not the punt, right? Let's start with the punt, and Cody Cotton catching that sucker at the 1 yard line. Tremendous. Like Chad, you've been on Cody Cotton for weeks now, just about praising him and his hustle and heart on special teams. He's a senior and he's not playing in base defense, but man, he is busting his butt covering these punts and kicks, and that's awesome. Max Pelham was sensational in this game, and our defense, I was so disappointed in our defense to give up, that run,
slant.
Like it just and get him out of it. Well, the slant came a little bit later, but yeah, the slant, just because we have just been allowing these explosive plays all season, and we had both safeties crept into the box on that. And again, the turning point in the game, in my opinion, is BJ Fleming injuring his knee. And that's something to watch if you are a UND fan, because that cat can run and he is a good player. And how Northern Arizona let him get away, I don't know. But that's one of the more impressive individual wide receivers I've seen in person this year. He's a good player. And if he can't go, UND's in trouble, because he's the guy that takes the top off.
Yeah, it really did seem to make the difference on what little I got at the rewatch. Darren Amick brings up a really good point. I think we can just talk about it now, asking what we thought about the changes the Hogs were. Obviously, it seemed to work to start with. B, I'm not sure that we had a lot of choices at certain points in the game with that BS ejection. Kevin, I don't remember exactly what you said last night when that got brought up. I know it was talked about. It was after 11:30. My brain was pretty fried. But what did you see? Like what's the best way to deal with it? Obviously, the coach can't say anything in the Big Sky or he gets fined.
Right.
But
you can be
it
the
seemed
victim
like
of
bull
a horrible
crap.
crime. You're just not allowed to talk about it.
Right. It seemed like bull crap, but we don't know what was said. Now, I wasn't going to text the players, and somebody might have out there in the ether.
I talked to Q after the game.
Oh, did you? Oh, yeah. I suppose you would have.
I talked to him after the game.
Say anything?
He said there was a UND player on top of Kuntz that wasn't getting off.
Yep.
So he was just going to just say, "Hey, knock it off, get off our guy," is what he was saying. And then all of a sudden, he said the ref just basically shoved his way in and popped up right in between them. And that's what the video confirms. It's just wild. Like,
The way the flag was what got me. He was, and I said this last night, he kind of went and held it up there and did everything but jazz hands with it. I don't know if that dude's got an axe to grind, but he did not mind doing that. If you catch my drift, it wasn't like he had a pained look on his face and he was going to have to throw one of the best offensive linemen in FCS football out of the game. It kind of looked like he enjoyed it.
Yeah, not to belabor the point, but this is the same crew that we had for the NDSU game. And
and they were.
I think it's the exact same official that missed the blatant holding on McShane. Yeah,
I don't know how you would know.
Yep.
Anyway,
so that is what I have been told by sources close to the program, and so it's interesting. It's coincidental, but interesting nonetheless.
What a crazy random happenstance! Right? It's crazy.
Yeah. That is the best thing about the win. Is because Quentin Christensen's year doesn't have to end like that.
Yes.
That I don't think anybody wanted that. Even well, I guess the other team doesn't care, but certainly nobody in our fan base and people that watch FCS in general wouldn't want a player that's given their heart and soul, pulled a team together, kept his guys around, and as much as Quentin Christensen has, to get ejected on some BS thing where the ref shoves him and you touched me. Well, yeah. How could I not? You would have had to jump back.
Yeah. But the offensive line realignment, I had Seth and Garrett sitting by me, and we were trying to figure out all the moving pieces. So I'm sorry that in rants and raves today, I had some guys, identified at different positions that were wrong. It was wild watching it in person. We don't have the benefit of replays trying to figure out who's on what side, because there was a time when Quentin Christensen and John Pico were switching back and forth. And, with Willenbring not being at center, I got a little confused there. But I love, back to whoever had the question about the 605 Hogs, we just glanced over that. I loved Nate Adams at center. That creates a lot of bulk, keeping him uncovered to help with doubles and things like that. I thought it was our best game, obviously, we've had all season running the ball. And it seemed to give Josiah Johnson and Luffridge a lot of confidence. And they looked great in this game. So I would keep Nate Adams at center at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he did well. He's a little bit larger body there, which didn't seem to bother the throws so much. Well, at least as far as I could tell. Some of the inaccuracies, I would say, may have something to do with whatever injury that Dan was talking about coming into the game. He talked about it in the after show. I mean, sometimes, you go to make a throw and your body just doesn't do it quite like it's supposed to if you're not all there. So there's a lot of mechanics to throwing a ball well. And it can be even your non-throwing side that can cause those issues. So the people that were really online giving him hard time, like, dude, just don't. Like, the guy has played his butt off for us, and I don't know what else to say. He's played his butt off for us. I couldn't be happier that he's a jackrabbit. He's done an amazing job. Was yesterday his best game ever? No, but he'd probably admit to that. There's a couple throws he'd want back. There's a couple things I've done in my life that I want back, and it's not under a microscope for everybody. So, I mean, let's bring forward the praise and slightly talk about what's not so great. I mean, we would have liked less interceptions. Sure. He would have liked that too, I'm sure. Like, that's not like, it's not like breaking news. He didn't try to give the ball to the other team. He didn't try to miss throws, but things happen. And, I obviously didn't play quarterback, and so I can't be too critical.
And in the end, what's so funny, Kevin, you brought this up last night. Austin Peay's quarterback played a near perfect game, but when the team needed him to complete one pass, airmailed it. Yesterday, Jack Henry struggled for a lot of the game, right? Looked really rough. But when the Jacks needed him most to complete a pass, he made that sucker. So, you know what? Like, he's a redshirt freshman, folks. We were blessed with Mark. We were blessed with Chris Oladokin. We were blessed with Taryn. pretty damn good quarterbacks right there. Like, we are going to experience some growing pains right now. Things weren't always great with Mark. In hindsight, we remember all the good times and we forget about some of the bad times. But we're going to be just fine. Like, if Jack Henry's our guy in a year, after Chase is graduated, we'll be all right. So, yeah, Kevin, what can you add, man?
Well, that dude was buried on your depth chart, man.
Yeah.
And I've said it before, there's 60 teams in FCS that would roll him out there as QB1 every week and take their chances. Mm-hmm. And to do what he's done, he's not getting a lot of reps in practice before Chase got hurt and Luke Marble got hurt. He wasn't getting a lot of reps at third team. And, maybe he had to go in there when he had to take over and introduce himself to the guys who were blocking for him. Yeah, right? Hey, I'm going to be the quarterback for the foreseeable future. But to not get rattled to that last play mantra that y'all have for that kid, it's just next play, man. He doesn't let what happened 100%. Just a second ago
good point.
Dictate what's going to happen next. And that's impressive in a young player. And I like the way the kid plays. I like the cut of his jib a lot. And the dude just is a gamer. And, he's a guy that other dudes will enjoy going to wall with. And if he has to play going forward, okay. If he doesn't, I think he's fine going back there and supporting whoever does. But there's going to be a time when that's going to be your dude and you're going to be proud to have him.
Yep. I
think so. I agree.
Yeah. Mama Christensen and Darren, have been shouting out Kyan Rauk here. Yeah, absolutely. I've been waiting to see this kid on the field this year. Kev, this is a 6'8", 300-pound redshirt freshman from Northfield, Minnesota, and he's just a monster and erased Rucker yesterday.
Yep,
after Quentin got moved out, tossed. We didn't hear from Rucker. He chased down a run on the other side of the field, but Kyan wasn't blocking him. But pass rushing wise, he disappeared. So put him in witness protection,
like that dude
man.
Can make the sun disappear if you stand anywhere close to him. That's what it sounds like
right?
to me.
Yeah, right? Yeah. As soon as Kyan was on there, 0 wasn't just his number; it was his stats too.
UND was so thin at defensive back too. I mean, they had really 2 corners that could play, and then one of them got hurt yesterday. So, I mean, the fact that y'all just decided, hey, we think we're tougher than they are, let's run the football, was refreshing seeing that from y'all. It was kind of impressive, and y'all are going to be able to push people around regardless of who you play in the playoffs, more than likely. So, showing the ability to do that and it being on film, you're going to have a lot of guys with single-digit numbers who are not going to want to come up and play in run support against some of the guys that y'all are going to have getting to that second and hopefully the third level.
Yep.
I think getting in the way you did, you don't want to have to play this weekend. It's unusual territory for y'all, like you said. But, man, get on a roll and see what happens. I mean,
exactly.
You're playing with house money, all the cliches, whatever hyperbole you want to put in there. Nobody expected you to be here. And I promise you there were a lot of people that are upset that you are. So, hit them in the mouth, see what happens.
The other thing I really love about it is we're getting extra depth at O-line for the future. So that's
you never know. Yeah. One thing I'm thinking about, or 2 things that we have to improve here in the playoffs. Defensively, we have to figure out how to stop these explosive plays we've allowed all season long. That has just been our Achilles heel.
I'm surprised that Stone Labanowitz didn't just pop up on the screen, man. You said explosive plays twice.
It takes
if
3
you say
times.
It 3 times, it's like Beetlejuice, man.
Candyman, yeah.
If you say it one more time.
Yeah. But man, Kev, it has been rough this year after kind of seeing it's been an adjustment. Okay. An adjustment because the Jimmy Rogers defenses for years, we're going to make you drive the field because we don't believe you can be perfect. 10 plays, 12 plays in a row and score on our defense versus this year where, we're holding people back a little bit. They're maybe not getting as many yards, but damn, these explosive plays just like, ugh. So it hurts. It hurts. It's an adjustment.
And we really didn't see that in the first 2 games of the year, which is just strange. It feels like there's been kind of 2 different teams that we've ran out on the field in some ways, but in other ways, not so much, because even when we were winning, this podcast, we're homers, fully admit that, but we were still kind of critical of there's a lot to clean up. We never got off that topic. There's a lot to clean up. There's a lot to clean up in this win. And coach keeps saying, "Oh, there's stuff to learn from. We're going to go hit that in practice." And so, I mean, if we can keep progressing forward and beating our former selves and getting better each day, kill your clone kind of thing, I think we're going to be pretty salty when we roll up in the next game and hopefully the game after that. I won't be so presumptuous to assume we win in Brookings, but I really feel strongly that we will.
And Kev, I have one question for you, Kev, too, like on this. So at this point, our punt returner, Miles Taylor, who's a senior, 5th-year senior, I think, he's having some confidence issues back there catching punts. If we have a redshirt freshman, or just a freshman even, that can catch these punts, is it worth swapping out? Because the whole game rule doesn't count anymore in the playoffs. Is it worth trotting someone else in there that maybe hasn't done it all season, but our primary punt returner just appears to have zero confidence right now in his ability to catch them?
Well, if you're talking about to catch the ball, that's phase 1, right? You've got to catch the ball. Phase 2 is moving the ball up the field after you catch it. So I would think
I don't care about that.
We're more concerned about
it. You're not concerned about that.
It's like when you're a wide receiver. Don't worry about the yards. Catch the goddamn ball, because the extra yards won't matter till you do that.
Well, now you're the reason that this is going to be marked explicit, Chad.
Yeah,
so
well, I didn't.
I said the word last night, so now it's your fault.
You effered it, bud.
Oh yeah, well,
it's
somehow
okay.
That's worse than GD. I don't know how. Well, I mean,
anyway. I don't disagree with that. We don't have to get into theological discussion on that. But
I'm going to lose that one with the way that I've lived my life anyway. So
that's why I go every Sunday.
but just catch the ball. Put somebody back there. I don't care if it's a defensive lineman. Who's got the best hands? I mean, who can look up and say, all right, they're going to kick the ball to us, and he can wave his arm in the air, and he's actually going to complete the catch, and we're going to run our offense out there, and it's going to be 1st and 10. Put that guy back there. If the freshman is a dynamic guy, I mean, maybe if you can get up a little bit, you send that guy back there who maybe has a chance to be a game changer at that position. Just put somebody back there that has good hands and is trustworthy and will allow you to bring your offense on the field and try to score. That's my
because at this point it feels like the risk isn't worth the reward trying to get the extra yardage. If we're just gonna put the ball on the turf. Can't do that. I mean, look what happened. Not this last game, but the last game in Brookings, that threw our entire game into a tailspin. Really, that was just, that was it. Then it just kind of continued to devolve from there.
Yeah,
and the valley valleyed. Who would have thought? Yeah. Right? So I mean, yikes. That's I don't know, man. You're talking about, special teams and the Illinois State game, and then they score 7 points on their first drive and don't score again against Southern Illinois, who has a Maginot line-like defense, right? Just holes all over it.
Why didn't we face that Illinois State team?
I don't know, man, but that the mustachio gentleman can't be pleased. So
yeah. Hey. Let's get into game balls here. Or Chad, do you have anything else for this game? I really want to pick Kevin's brain on this bracket. Do you have?
Do I have anything else on this game? You shouted out Cody Cotton. That's something I really want to do. Max Pelham, so great to have him back. Hoping that we get some other guys back. It made a huge difference to have the MC Shane train back on the field. So I think that's one of the main things on defense right now that's really been holding us back, is not having the third guy, a CVT, out there. That takes a lot of pressure off the secondary, and that might be what we're talking about the first few games, where this team's defense just seemed a little different. But the strip sack, yes, absolutely. Yes. Oh, geez, we both hit it at the same time.
Yep.
Yes. Absolutely.
KFC with the strip sack.
Yeah, that was a great, and he almost got the scoop and score, but he's a big dude. That guy tackled him around his ankles. He wasn't going very far.
Yeah,
I love that. Tweeted, is it the same old North Dakota? And that's right. You did. That was I tweeted that play and asked that question, and turned out that it was.
Yeah, how many bubble screens did we run yesterday? Because I don't recall seeing any.
Just one to the tight end, right? But that really wasn't. There was actually yards there on that one. They just didn't run it right.
Wow, that's kind of the case a lot of times, isn't it?
So I don't want to get into this. I don't want to talk about play calling tonight or I do actually. I thought Eidsness called a really good game.
I think he
yesterday.
Did. Yeah, I think
overall,
he called a good game.
He's caught a lot of flack this season, especially in this losing streak. And again, we already talked about Jack Henry. I don't want to harp on it. He struggled, but the plays were there. Grayton Gannon was open. On the deep shots, the wide receiver was open. Like, just things like that happen, right? When you're, again, inconsistent young quarterback. None of yesterday, Eidsness called a good game. Good. So I don't want to harp on it, I guess. But
one other thing is my butthole pucker factor was really high when it looked like Alex Bullock was hurt. That was just terrible. Yeah. And I was curious how that affected you in the stands, if you sat a little higher when that happened.
Nah, he was fine. Like, we saw him moving around right away. He looked fine. It was right in front of us. So yeah. All right. So game balls presented by, where's my list? Kelsey, Cubbies Sports Bar and Grill. So our game balls here presented by Cubbies Sports Bar and Grill in Brookings. Hopefully, if you don't want to go tailgating on Saturday morning, you can get on down to Cubbies beforehand and tailgate there, just in case the weather is bad. But you should definitely leave Cubbies and go out to the game. Any of these other games, if you get a chance to watch them, which you won't because they're all at noon or 1 p.m. Whatever.
Great call, NCAA. Let's put them all on at the same time.
Yeah. Fun.
Just shows how much they actually care about. Never mind.
Yeah. Or if you're in town for volleyball, right, or basketball, whatever it may be, get on down to Cubbies ahead of time and get yourself some Chislick, some waffle fries, maybe a wrap, a burger, whatever it may be, some drinks. Obviously, Chad wants some drinks, some beer. Yeah, some old fashioned. Oh, that sounds good. Anyways, yeah, get on down there to Cubby Sports Bar and Grill. Thank you for your support. Game balls. So, Chad, you had said Josiah Johnson. We didn't talk about. He had 3 touchdowns. He ran so damn hard. Yeah. That's a good pick, but it's
nose. Yeah.
No, but it's the 605 Hogs, because I have been harping on the 605 Hogs all season to step up, and they really did. And Kevin is frozen in that. Oh, is he frozen?
No, he's not frozen.
He's not frozen. God, mannequin
challenge.
I'm
trying to pull up my bracket here, man, so I can sound like I know what I'm talking about.
All right, fair enough. Defensively, who did I go with? Who did I go with defensively? I don't remember. I really don't
recall either. You didn't write it down?
No, because I usually have the bracket, the blog.
Oh, you mean who did you go with on your? I got to the end of the article.
I went with Kobe. I went with Kobe. The strip sack was awesome, and I know he said in the post game that he had a quiet game. But he kind of did. But I guess he still had the huge momentum changing play there. We didn't talk about Graham Gorian once. He deserves a shout out too for that reception.
Great and redemption story. Jack Henry too.
Chad, you had said Joel Ullman. I said Jalen Lee. Those are both great picks as well. So
I mean, Joel Ullman and the MC Shade Train both had 7 tackles apiece, right? Something like that. So they were definitely active yesterday. That's not a terrible statistic for linebacker.
Yep. And then I ended up going with Eli Stater, getting that field goal, getting the extra points. All that was huge. Every point mattered.
I'm going to give
in that
it
game.
to Pelham, though.
Yep.
I mean,
and
that punt could have been deadly if it wasn't for that slant pass getting away from us.
Yeah. All right, Chad, can you pull up the bracket here? So when Kevin's going through the bracket, we have it going.
Let me swap what I'm sharing here.
Yeah, I'll just go through here.
Share this tab instead. There you go.
Yeah. So the bracket was released this morning.
The stage. There
and hopefully you guys tuned in to our friends at the FCS Fans Nation. If you could zoom in just a little bit, Chad, we'll do like left side first, probably.
Okay.
So our friends at FCS Fans Nation Radio did a show. They streamed it along with the ESPN show and did a phenomenal job. Our friend Jamie did a good job breaking it down. Kyler was there. And Rev.
Kyler was there.
Yeah, Kyler was there. You know, he was breathing oxygen. Like,
we love Kyler.
I do too, man. He's a good sport. He takes a lot of risks.
And he loves to play the heel. Don't take everything Kyler says seriously. For people that watch often enough, I think you'll know that. But if you just catch the one thing, he's gonna say something that seems ridiculous, and he's not being serious, but he deadpans it all the time.
Yep.
Those guys did a hell of a job. I really enjoy that every year.
It's
I don't enjoy the 5 a.m. Emails for being a member of FCS Gold that I get. My wife likes them less, but but it's a good thing. And if you don't subscribe to that, you should.
You know, you can
there we go.
Notifications off, right, Kevin?
I don't know how to do any of that, man. I do a radio show, bro. I mean, this is like high technology for me, what we're doing right now. I mean, I said last night, so this is what it's like to not be a slave to a show clock.
This is awesome. Not far from your first time doing this.
I know, but still, it is a feeling of some freedom, I might tell you.
Yeah, right? So, Kev, what's your overall impression of this bracket?
I think Tennessee Tech got hosed badly. And how can they have somebody at number 7 just very recently? And the only game that they've lost since then was to an SEC opponent. And you just don't drop them a couple of places. You drop them from 7 to 13. And and there wasn't enough things that happened amongst the other good teams for that to happen, I don't think. I'm not quite sure what the thinking was there. I do know that we will be proud to welcome them into the Southern Conference next year. It'll be a good addition for that league. And I've said it repeatedly on our show that Bobby Wilder is a hell of a football coach. And he had Taylor Heineke at Old Dominion when he won the Walter Payton Award. And he will use that. And it will be used tremendously well. And that was the thing that stuck out to me the most. Putting New Hampshire in was probably warranted, even though I have my feelings about the CAA. But I do think that a message was sent to that league by this committee that the days of them being considered at even close to the same level as the top leagues in FCS is coming to an end. And that is your champion, Rhode Island, ended up being what? The number 9 seed?
Number 9. Yep, exactly.
Yep. So the shenanigans that they do with the scheduling, the way that things work out in that league is, I think that was a tacit message sent, and I bet it was received by that bunch there. But all in all, I thought it was very well put together besides the things that I mentioned. Who had Yale beating Harvard like that? Right. So, and Monmouth sits at home with a better win than Harvard has, over Villanova. It's, only 24 spots and maybe 27 or 28 teams deserving. It's, somebody's going to be upset. And I imagine that the Monmouth Hawks is that group who's really just kind of looking in the mirror going, well, maybe we don't lose to 1-10 U Albany. And that doesn't happen. So Davis being seated where they were was kind of a surprise to some people.
Yes. That was a surprise to me because it felt like the narrative, and maybe I was just listening to the wrong people, that UC Davis Sac State game was kind of a playing game, just like our game was yesterday, supposedly. and we both got in, I guess. So that I found that interesting that UC Davis was an 8.
The no contest with Mercer was key for them, I think. Mercer, in my opinion, we'll never know what happened, but Mercer was driving the field to take the lead. They'd sort of taken control of that football game, and that was probably going to be a win for the Bears. So, their people kind of complained about it a little bit as the season went along, felt like they would win. But at the end of the day, it was probably the best thing that could have happened to UC Davis. If you lose that game, they're not the 8th seed, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. And they might not have even been in the field. So, maybe that was the best thing that could have happened to UC Davis. But I know y'all are going to ask me, who is the team that you think can do something? Last year I said Eastern Kentucky, if y'all recall, and they got absolutely hosed by one of the worst calls in the history of college football. That's a pass. It's not a pass when you're being tackled, right?
Yep.
But I think that team this year is Abilene Christian. Nobody has played better than them when they have played good this year. But when they have played poorly, they have played very poorly. So it just depends upon which one of those squads shows up. But there's some really interesting games in the first round, no doubt.
Yeah, let's start at the top. Illinois State and Southeastern Louisiana. We were down there and played them last year at their home field. And obviously we had questions, I guess. Why isn't Illinois State hosting this? And well, they can't. They're hosting the Illinois State High School Championships. And Brock Spack is okay with that. And no matter what, they're going to be on the road. So
right. He loves it. He brings a lot of kids to that campus, and that's a good thing for them, he feels. So, if he ain't upset about it, how can anybody else be?
Exactly. So what do we need to keep an eye on in this one?
What happened to Illinois State last week? And is that just a one-off thing?
I think it was hangover from our game.
I mean, you think? I've been hungover before, but never to where I just dump my purse out all over the place like the Redbirds did yesterday, right? Yeah. But Southeastern Louisiana is a team that has scored a lot of points, and then for a 2-week spell when they played the other good teams in the Southland, 13-12 was one of the final scores, and then they didn't score a lot the next week either. So they're going to have to score points, I think, to beat Illinois State. And I've been down there to Strawberry Stadium. I was at that game that y'all played them last year.
Yep.
And
you're doing the Alex's Lemonade Stand thing. There.
Right. It's a really cool place to play. And their people are fired up about it. I mean, in the top 25 poll every week, there were 5 or 6, 7, don't call them SELA, SLU fans, who were, telling me, there were all sorts of words for idiot that they used to call me, and I'm fine with that. But, that's a team that is wanting respect. And fortunately for them, they're going to have a chance to gain a lot of it right out of the gate against a Valley team. Mm-hmm. And for the teams that are not in the Valley or the Big Sky, these things are opportunities. And not to put too fine of a point on it, but they'll be up for this like they would be for an FBS game, because all they hear is your conference is no good. The teams in your league are no good, not compared to the Valley, the Big Sky. And I'll tell you plain, those people are tired of hearing it, and they are going to be ready to whip your ass. Yep. And you better strap on your chin strap, tighten up your stuff. And because they're going to give you their A game, whether it's good enough, that's what the playoffs are for. But they're at home. Illinois State did not play well last week. Southeastern Louisiana has ascended. It's a great matchup. I can't wait.
So you mentioned the Valley piece. Carson Camp spent a few years at USD, so that's there.
Is he still throwing the ball down there? Because I thought they had
They alternate dudes, somewhat.
Oh, okay. I was a little bit confused because the guy I saw did not look like Carson Camp. I don't know how else to say that, but I was pretty sure it wasn't Carson Camp.
The one thing, you mentioned, Kevin, that Illinois State offense, what the heck's happened to them? Since rattling off 28 points against us, which wasn't all offense, but 28 points against us in that first quarter, they've scored 14 points in the 7 quarters since. So
yeah, that's
a red flag.
Yes. A red flag for a red bird.
There we go. All right. Central Connecticut State. It's not their first time in the dance. Facing Rhode Island, winner taking on UC Davis. We talked about a little bit. So what do you think about this one?
I mean, in the first round, the NEC usually gives the CAA fits for a while. Happened last year. And that NEC is an interesting league. They're operating with less than 63 scholarships, significantly less. And we have AJ Mikowski writes an article each week about the NEC for FCSNationRadio.com. And they are a very interesting bunch. They don't really care who you are. They're going to show up and they're going to play. I mean, I think Jackrabbits fans learned that from that Mercyhurst team. There was no fear in them at all. They played the only team that played a non-conference schedule harder than them, was probably the Allied powers in World War II, so that's the only thing I can think of. And so that's a league that, again, a little bit of an inferiority complex, chip on their shoulder. They're going to give Rhode Island their best shot. They're going to pull out everything they have, and they're going to make Rhode Island beat them. And I think the way they're going to do that is just the way that y'all described playing defense under Coach Rogers. And that is, you're going to have to go down the field 11, 12 play drives. We're not going to give you the big play. And Rhode Island is a team that will turn it over. They should win the football game, but will they? I think this is a game that you can circle and say, if Central Connecticut can withstand the first quarter and be, 10-7, 3-0, somewhere like that, they're going to have a chance to make it a 4-quarter ball game. Rhode Island needs to start quickly and extinguish any of that hope that the Blue Devils are going to have about an upset there.
All right. This is going to be your chance here. Harvard versus Villanova, winner playing Lehigh, which is interesting. I just think that's so interesting, Lehigh this year. But Harvard, Villanova. Harvard could have been in line for a seed potentially, and they get completely unseeded here after getting whooped by Yale, like you talked about. What do we need to know?
I mean, isn't it pretty cool that we know that Christ's appointed representative on this planet is going to be watching this game, probably, right? I mean, that's like one of, the FCS playoffs are going to be on in the Vatican, I'm pretty sure, because the guy loves sports, right? He loves sports. He loves Villanova. But Harvard, it's just, Craig is such a dynamic player for them at the quarterback position. And it really didn't seem to matter against Yale. They did their things. They scored 28 points, right? That had been enough usually for them. But the defense just couldn't hold Yale back. And earlier in the season, I had Yale in the top 25, and I picked them to beat Lehigh. And they didn't. They did a lot of things that an Ivy League team doesn't normally do. Bad penalties, missed assignments. And they didn't do that against Harvard. And that led to them winning the football game. Villanova can do some things. One of our honorary captains of the week is a fine running back for them. They're going to just try to push Harvard around. And that's going to be the game plan for them early, I think. It's just we feel like we're tougher than you. We've played better competition than you. We're more battle tested than you. And they're going to try to just hand the ball off and see what Harvard's got, what they want to do. And if they can be successful doing that, Harvard's going to get behind. They're going to have to throw the ball. And Villanova's going to be able to do some things on defense that'll maybe take some of that away. This is a very interesting game, too. Two very fine academic schools. And look, we've all wanted to know, what would the Ivy League look like in the playoffs? Well, we don't have just one example of that. We're going to have two. And, the going to Lehigh, the winner of this, that is a game that either of these two teams can win if they can get there. And to see Harvard, Villanova, or Lehigh on that next notch over from the Lehigh game is kind of exciting for everybody who is not a fan of a Valley or a Big Sky team. Yeah,
I'm super excited to have these two Ivy Leagues in here. And again, Villanova, we've seen Villanova so many times in the playoffs that I feel like they're like a East Coast team I kind of follow, and I just love the way they play defense. The hard-nosed nature of those kids, it seems like they're always tough. And so that's going to be just a fun little triad there, I guess, of games. So excited for that.
Kevin,
okay.
I want your take on this because I've heard somebody else's already today. What's your thoughts on the fact that they play a reduced number of games schedule and getting 2 into the FCS playoffs on year 1? What's your take on that?
It's an advantage. They ought to be.
Is it right? Is it right?
No, it's not right. If you want to get in and you want to play with the rest of us, then schedule like the rest of us. And that should have been something.
And I don't disagree.
And that should have been something that was already fixed. But, I mean, you're also going to have to challenge yourselves a little bit more out of conference. Harvard's out of conference, was non-scholarship Stetson, a bad Holy Cross team this year, which they had no way of knowing that Holy Cross was going to be bad.
Yep.
And Merrimack. And I said it last night. What was the monitor unavailable to schedule them? They had to schedule the Merrimack instead.
Yeah, the old Ironside.
I like that one.
Yeah. So up next, we got North Dakota playing Tennessee Tech. Everybody feels like TTU got hosed. What's your thoughts on that one there, Kev?
Tennessee Tech's a good football team. And for people that don't know, guy that plays quarterback from them transferred in from Eastern Washington, he's a smaller guy, but he can do some things with his legs. He's an exciting player. And so I went back and I looked because I was kind of intrigued as to why the offensive production numbers as far as points had gone down for Tennessee Tech. And they have. There's no doubt about that. They were beating people to sleep first 5-6 weeks of the season. But I think once Bobby Wilder saw that there wasn't going to be anybody who was really going to push them a whole lot in his conference, that they really committed to the running game and playing defense. They blitz about as much as anybody in the country, if not more. They're undersized on the defensive line, but they get after you. And if you're North Dakota in this football game, you've got to block. And if you're without your best wide receiver and you got nobody who is a deep threat, this is not a good matchup for the Fighting Hawks. They might get Gavin back this week. I did hear that, who's a huge part of their running game. But this is Tennessee Tech's game to lose, I think.
So Gavin Zeberth was dressed, but he did not get in. He went through senior day fully in uniform yesterday. So he must have been kind of on the Chase Mason stuff.
Isn't it funny how nobody criticized North Dakota for that, but the usual suspects criticized the Jackrabbits for dressing out Chase Mason in warmups?
Time out a little bit on that. It was senior day. So you get a little.
But they had other injured player, Chad, that they didn't even have a jersey on. They were in their sweatsuit. He was in full uniform.
Well, okay, but maybe for pictures. Anyway, I don't know.
Notice how y'all dodged my little jab there at the usual suspects who will criticize y'all at every opportunity.
Yeah, well, and yes, you fans are like that. So
I don't understand, like, why is Dom Izzo making it a big deal? Like, it has zero impact on him at all. Does he have money on the game?
He has nothing better to talk about, and he's trying to loop in the Fargo Forum crew down here. It's all a media play. Get over it. Here's the deal. The honest truth is they haven't known if Chase is ready to go every game until right before the game, probably. Maybe the day of. Okay. Last game, I think it was literally a game time decision. It would have appeared like that. You were there, right? He was out there throwing balls. So, there you go.
And that same bunch had some very flattering things to say about my co-host and my media outlet last week, which I said this last night, and I think it bears repeating. I know those bunch knew how to pronounce my co-host's last name when he was a quarterback at Southern Illinois. I'm pretty sure they did. Pretty sure that But that, you know what?
That's just unprofessional. And anyway.
Yeah, it is what it is, man.
I mean, if it's an honest mistake, no big deal. But like you said, he played. They know they know how to.
My only response publicly, except for on these two shows, was bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
Yeah. That's pretty deep, Kev. That's
a
God.
All right. So I want to skip over our game. New Hampshire, South Dakota State. We'll end there.
No one's going to the Dakota Dome.
Yeah, right. Drake at South Dakota, which is a repeat of a regular season matchup. So I am a little bit confused on this one. What happened here?
It's conference games. And just because there haven't been repeats of or rematches of regular season games, conference games, I think the reason why they have never, this has never come up before, and it may have seemed like it was a thing, was because it's the playoffs and you could make that not happen, right? I mean, you could schedule that. It was just not probably going to happen. But, we're going to get to see this ball game again. And look, I like the Gronowskis a lot, right? So I don't want to talk bad about Drake because I don't want to get on their bad side. But, they're a Bulldog, so I'm drawn to them in my nature as being one too. But this shouldn't be a whole lot to see here in this ball game. If it is, then, maybe South Dakota's back to what they were doing earlier in the season. This should be a 2 or 3 touchdown victory at least for the Yotes, I would think.
Yeah, I'm curious what we're hearing about, injury news and things like that with their stud running back. So
it didn't seem to matter when the last guy got hurt, did it? So,
right.
I mean, perhaps they've got another fella stashed on that bench.
Yeah, I mean, they really hit a smash hit with number 2 too. So, hey, there's still time, Kevin. That game in Nebraska is on Friday. You could join me. You could go see the Gronowskis.
I have somehow avoided being in the state of Nebraska in my 50 years on the earth. And, I do think that maybe I'm there. We don't have a team there, so I can say this. There's no FCS team there. If I was diagnosed with some horrible disease, I would move to Nebraska because every day would seem like an eternity, I believe. So, I had a year left to live.
Yeah, but haven't you driven through North Dakota? Anyway.
I have, yes. I have been to a game in the Fargo Dome. Yes. 2 of them, actually. One warm, one cold. The warm one was better.
Sure, I bet for you. Yeah. Okay, Lamar and Abilene Christian. Obviously, we all kind of saw Lamar at the start of the season when we watched them upset USD. Loosely followed, I guess, throughout the rest of the year. But what's going on with these guys? And Abilene Christian, we know you said if they are right, they are as good as anyone. So
they are. And Lamar's had so many things go their way this year. When they've needed a 55-yard field goal to walk off somebody, they've walked up and drilled that 55-yard field goal to walk off somebody. When they've needed a turnover, they've gotten it. And those things have a tendency to even out, and that's exactly what happened last week against McNeese. So, McNeese, probably one of the 10 or 15 worst teams in FCS football this year. They're going to get it turned around there. That's a proud program. They're not going to tolerate that for long down there. But Abilene Christian, like I said, I mean, just because their quarterback is named Stone doesn't mean they're inept at offense. So, but he's a really good player. And, they can throw the ball around the stadium, but, they're a power running team as well. And their offense is difficult to stop because it is so multiple. And if they play well, they ought to beat Lamar fairly easily. But if they show up in the way they played 2 or 3 ball games this year, they're going to get beat. Mm-hmm. And the good thing about them is that this Lamar team is ranked, and Abilene Christian only seems to beat ranked teams. So, there's that. But it'll be, look, all of these games, these are all very good teams, and the margin is going to be razor thin in most of them. Who's going to make the 1 or 2 more plays that are going to make all the difference? And, I would hate to be Vegas this week trying to put lines on some of these games because you just don't know. And, if you're that sort of a person that enjoys wagering, this is your week. because there's going to be some people who are going to have plus numbers on the money line and good numbers that are going to win these games. And, it's going to be a very interesting thing to see how it all shakes out.
Yep. Youngstown and Yale. I am excited for the Penguins here. Yeah, I'm excited to see Bo Brungard, and just to see how he does against some non-Valley competition, and if Youngstown can just kind of stay hot. I'm excited for their fans. They have a good contingency on Twitter as well, and they care a lot about that program, obviously, with their history there. So good for them.
There were a lot of people who thought that, maybe me included, that the Ivy League not wanting to be a part of the FCS playoffs kind of had a perfume of Northeastern elitism, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to go and play the great unwashed, state directional university, or they thought they were, I've said it before, that they were the Globo Gym of FCS. They're better than you, and they know it. And I just wonder what these Yale fans are going to think in their $1,500 loafers when they pull into Youngstown, Ohio for this football game. The most working class, this is America town that probably exists in that region of the country. It's going to be an eye opener for them, because most of those folks probably never even met anybody like that before. Right. So, but as far as the football game goes, if they play like they did against Harvard, they have a shot here. But if you're Youngstown State and you've done the things that you've done this season, and you have that player at quarterback that their fans are sure should win the Walter Payton Award, then, you should probably be able to handle Yale at home. It reminds me of a joke I once heard. There was a Clemson graduate, and he was sitting in a bar in Connecticut. And he asked the girl next to him, where'd you go to school? And she said, Yale. And he said, well, where'd you go to school? So that's more about how we talk than anything else. But if you're the Penguins and you are who you think you are, you should get out of this game relatively easily, I would think.
Yep. Okay. So before we get into these second round matchups, then we just got to give a shout out to Northwestern Mutual. They're one of our main sponsors here as well. Obviously, the big promotion going on with Alex's Lemonade Stand. Thank you, Chad, for just having that pulled up so quick there. Aiden Bauman and Chase Mason leading the way on this sucker. Taco dollars right there. And so, this is a great thing. I'm assuming, am I correct to assume that $10,000 match is all spent by this point in the day?
I think I think it may be. It's close, but
it's
if
close.
you would click on Aiden's,
I think.
If you would click on Aiden's, you would see that.
Why would I do?
Well, I mean, maybe you might find something out. If you'll click on Aiden's, and you go down, you'll see that there's another $5,000 that's out there.
Ooh.
So
I'm working
right
on
there in that. If you go back up.
Interesting.
Now, there you go.
The Coyote brother. Oh, okay. Oh, interesting.
So, if there is money still available.
That's from David and Paula Holtgren. Is
Holtgren? Okay. Wow.
There may or may not be an additional $5,000 lying on.
Whether that has been taken up and used already, I don't know. But
our side as well.
Wow.
But I've been going and looking, and there's been there's been $12,000-$13,000 donated today.
Yeah.
So it was at 74 last night, I think, and now the total is, last time I looked, it was almost 90,000. Somewhere it was more than 85,000, between 85 and 90,000.
Yep.
And I just don't have the words, y'all. You don't want to see a Southern man cry, but I don't have the words to describe what y'all have done in heavy lifting this for Jackrabbits fans the last several years. Again, I don't want to get all misty-eyed and stuff. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see a fat man cry. But just the way that y'all have gone about your business with this, and something that's greater than your football program, it's greater than the fine young men that have represented your football program in this. I just don't have the words to describe how thankful and how grateful I am for the things that y'all have done. And I just know that one of these days I'm going to get me a plate of them pudding shots. And I don't want just one. I want me like a plate of them because they have certainly done wonders. And you know what? There's going to be a cure for these cancers that affect children. And all of us are going to be a part of that. And if you live the kind of life I have, you know, and you have things that, you know, on that day, you know, when you're judged, you know, I'm hopeful that this will be one of the things that they'll go, well, he did some good things too, you know? So let's, you know, I think this is a check mark in all of us who have had anything to do with this in the good column. And that'll help you at Christmas too, I heard, which is coming.
Yeah, right. I mean, if we find the cure, we can all just do a pudding shot together.
Absolutely. And Chris Schenkel has been fantastic as the leader of this.
Let's not. He has done a lot of the legwork on this whole deal, as has the rest of the Northwestern Mutual team. We'd be remiss not to point out that, you know, they do their extra donation every time you hit that $5,000 mark. So, but I mean, just look at what South Dakota's done. I mean, that says a lot about our state. And this is, you know, I mean, we're not a Californian rich state with high income on average. So our people are really digging deep and helping out, and they're always willing to help out a neighbor. And it says a lot about the culture and the people where we are. And I'm proud of that. You know, I mean, that's how we always have been around here. Everybody's friendly, even when we hate each other. You know, we don't want Aiden Bauman to win, but we've met him. He's an awful nice individual.
He really is, man.
He's a great dude. His dad's super nice. And at the end of the day, like Jim says, the kids win. And so we can't be mad if we lose, because we didn't lose. We pushed them, they pushed us, and everybody won. I mean, I know we had conversations last year. I'm driving down the road, and you know, we really wanted to get to this point. I see this continuing on. I think we could hit the $100,000 mark, and that was really a stretch goal last year, but look how close we are. I mean, we still got quite a few weeks left, and I'll tell you what, if SDSU keeps advancing, there'll be more pudding shots, and there'll be hundreds of dollars flowing into the coffers.
I will tell you this, if you know, we're going to have some stuff that's going to take place around the national championship game too, which we'll announce at a later time. But there's so many things, and people are pulled in so many different directions, you know. And so one of the things that I am very proud of is that, folks, there's a way for you to donate. If you say, man, it's Christmas is coming up, it's tight. I get it, man. I live in rural Montana. It doesn't get a lot more tighter economically than that, right? So you can take a picture with a lemon on top of your head, tag it correctly, and you've made a donation to end pediatric cancer in our time without ever reaching in your own pocket. And if you go to our website, fcsnationradio.com, click on the Alex's Lemonade Stand, you'll get directions on how to do that. And if you're still confused, just send me a DM on Twitter, and I'll be glad to fill you in on how you can do that. So if it's tight, you can still take part in it, man. And that is really cool.
Yep. And how many times do they limit you to doing that lemon top challenge? Last I checked, I don't think there's nobody I think's took full advantage of that. Jim Poppin comes the closest.
Yeah, Jim's the closest.
You could do one every day on every social media platform and get $30 per day donated on behalf of just, you know, putting in a couple minutes. So
right. Yep. And once you do it once, you know, it's pretty easy to do it again. So, you know, you have the hashtags handy, you know what you're doing. And, you know, I invite all of you to please participate. We would really appreciate it.
There we go. So thank you, Kevin. And then thank you, our friends at Northwestern Mutual, Chris, and your team down in the Sioux Falls office. So thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. So, Kevin, we have to back up here a second. New Hampshire coming to town. We saw them a few playoffs ago. We've seen them before. I think this is a third time now playing them in the playoffs, if I remember correctly here. What is this year's team like? I'm looking at their roster. And they look, on offense, they have a young quarterback. He's a sophomore. And then on defense, in their 2 deep, they have 6 freshmen or redshirt freshman starters on defense. Looks like they're allowing some yards on the ground. But offensively, it looks like they like to sling it around. What else do we need to know? Am I correct in that? Just looking at the stats? Okay.
The Jackrabbits run the ball, you'll win. They don't have the dudes to be able to compete with the 605 Hogs. Whatever combinations that y'all decide upon, play well together as a unit up front. You'll control the tempo, you'll control the line of scrimmage, and you'll win the football game. You just can't help them. And they're going to need y'all to do a couple of things to be able to stay in that football game, I think. And if you don't turn the ball over, you play clean, you catch the punts, then, you will get out of there with a victory. It's a team that doesn't know that they're not as good as people think they are. They're a product of that league and its scheduling. They really are. And it's not their fault, right? I mean, it's not Rhode Island's fault. It's just that's what the league did. And, if that team, and I hate this, and I know that Brendan brought it up last night, somebody will say, well, this team wouldn't finish 7th in this league. Well, it doesn't really matter.
When the league, you get a bid. I'm on Team Brendan with that.
Right. So if I had to compare them to somebody in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, they are Southern Illinois on defense and maybe not as good Illinois State on offense. Quarterback can spin it, but unlike Rittenhouse, he'll throw it to the other side, and they'll put the ball on the ground occasionally. They need to play their best game, and you need to play like you did against Illinois State for them to beat you, I think.
Sure. So looking at their schedule, right, they played Ball State tough, only lost to Ball State by 5 points, and I know Ball State's a bad MAC program. I get that. They got blown out by Villanova. They lost by 11 to Rhode Island. And then their big win was just a couple weeks ago over Monmouth, 34-13. Like, that's a big win right there. They barely beat Maine this last week in their rivalry game.
Maine was so similar to them. It was crazy.
Yeah, kind of an up and down season.
Basically the same football team.
Okay.
And that's when they've played good teams, they haven't fared well. When they played good teams at full strength, that is. Yep. Monmouth was a different team without Derek Robertson. They just were. And the running back for Monmouth was good. But when they couldn't, just rely on their defense to get 2 or 3 stops a ball game because they're going to score 48, that was sort of the end of the line for Monmouth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good team. It's not a great one that's coming in there, but they don't know that. And they probably can't wait to measure themselves against the Jackrabbits, one of the teams that has hoisted up the trophy, in the last camera shot of the season here recently. Mm-hmm. So, you're always going to get everybody's best shot if you're South Dakota State, and these guys are going to give it to you. And, Coach Santos, look, if I had to go and send my kid, if he was a quarterback somewhere, that would be a place to send him because Santos was a pretty good one back in the day for New Hampshire.
Yep. And I'm guessing that they see we lost Indiana State at home and they're saying, why not us too? Why not us? Right. So they're going to come in and give us their best shot. New Hampshire's not a super warm weather state either.
Cold won't bother them at all.
Yeah. Cold's not going to bother them. So we need to be ready. This will be a big game. And I can't wait to dive in more this week to New Hampshire and just learn more about them. I'll have the opponent preview article out to the Know Your Foe at some point, and we'll go from there. Second round games, though, Kevin. You mentioned Lehigh. Anyone else look vulnerable besides Lehigh, in your opinion?
I mean, when you wrap the whole thing up and you just look down it, right, and you say, well, who is somebody that can get beat? I mean, it's very difficult to say who that could be when you don't know who they're going to play. And this year, the chalk is, I don't think a lot of it's going to hold. Some of them might, But in other years, you could pretty much say, well, they're going to be playing them. Well, one I feel pretty confident of is that we're going to see Mercer and South Dakota down in Macon, Georgia. I'm pretty confident that South Dakota will beat Drake. And the Mercer team it's unfair to judge them off of the UC Davis no contest and the loss to Presbyterian. We just call them PC in South Carolina, Presbyterian College, because they made a quarterback change. Braden Atkinson is a fella who, if Mercer can hold on to him, I'd be shocked if they can at the conclusion of this season, because he has done some things this year throwing the football that the FBS teams in that football crazy region of the country that I'm from are just probably drooling over. He is a dude. He was playing high school football this time last year. And I challenge you to pull up the numbers for the people who they're talking about ought to win the Walter Payton Award. And darn it, if this freshman kid, they're probably just going to give him the Jerry Rice Award because he's a freshman. But you can make a case for him to win the Walter Payton Award. And they went to Auburn on Saturday, and, until they got worn out, they did some really good things offensively against an SEC defense. It wasn't the best SEC defense of all time, but he can put the ball where he wants to. He doesn't make mistakes, and you would swear he had been their quarterback for 3 years. So the Mercer South Dakota game intrigues me. And then let's talk about Stephen F. Austin, who we haven't even mentioned, and congrats to our buddy Rev. I know that nobody roots for their football team harder than that guy does. And when guys like that, when good people, when their teams have success, I rejoice. But that chance for a rematch, maybe with Abilene Christian and Stephen F. Austin, I think you throw the first one out where Abilene Christian pretty much controlled things, because Stephen F. Austin has really gone on to a roll. And somebody asked earlier, who's hotter than fish grease? Stephen F. Austin is. So that's one that I'm very interested in. And look, whoever goes to Montana State, that's going to be a really good ball game. Yep. If somehow Yale can win, I mean, who hasn't wanted to see an Ivy League in one of the Montana stadiums? I think we all have. But if Youngstown State can handle their business, that's going to be a whale of a game in Bozeman, Montana. I mean, you got the Bobcats, who the defense has been just outstanding lately, and Youngstown State, who can spin the ball all over the stadium, but their quarterback is tough enough that they can run the Tommy Mellott offense right back in Montana State, run the QB power 40 times, and see how much of a man you are.
Maybe better than they did.
Maybe even better than they did. And Tommy Mellott had 46 touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
But North Dakota or Tennessee Tech going to Tarleton, I mean, we haven't been as high on Tarleton State as other people have. They beat Hudson High School, which is what Citadel people call West Point. They were able to beat them. That's an FBS win. Not the best one, but still one. North Dakota has, look, man, they have stood toe-to-toe with some of the best in the nation in FCS football and haven't blinked. They just hadn't been able to figure out how to win that yet.
Yep.
And Tennessee Tech, if they can get by North Dakota at home, going to Tarleton State, Tennessee Tech is a team that could give Tarleton some problems. They have some problems with mobile quarterbacks. Well, Tennessee Tech has one of those. And I know we talked about it already, but whoever wins the Harvard-Villanova games going to Lehigh, and man, Patriot League team seeded 5th. They earned it, though. And Lehigh is a lot like a Valley team. Do you remember when people said that about Holy Cross a couple of years ago, and they came into Brookings and people kind of chuckled that they were big up front, they could stop the run, they could run the ball. Lehigh is the same thing, but without as dynamic of a quarterback as Holy Cross had then in Matthew Saluka. So, those are ball games that stick out to me. And whoever's is going to go all the way across the country to play UC Davis, that's probably not the greatest trip for them. Probably going to be Rhode Island. And, if you're Rhode Island and people have questioned how good you are all season, this sets up pretty nicely for you. You got an NEC team at home, and then you go on the road to play UC Davis if you can beat the NEC team with the freshman quarterback. who in the last couple of all games, for the first time all season, has made some freshman quarterback mistakes. So, the least interesting one to me is who's getting funneled to Fargo. That, if it's Southeastern Louisiana, I mean, we've seen that before, what a Southland team looks like going into that place. And if you're Illinois State, well, you're going to have a second shot at those guys. So, that's a very good matchup for North Dakota State, who doesn't need the help of a very good matchup, right? Especially not in that building. But I will say this, that I'm more interested in these playoffs this year than I have been in them for quite a while, because I feel like there are more teams with more bullets in their guns for North Dakota State than we've seen recently. And that is that if they have to go into that place or they play them in the national championship game, they can do some things that can give the Bison some trouble if they don't play 100% their best game, which they don't usually not do. But there's some teams this year that could give NDSU some trouble.
Yep, I agree.
Hey, I got a question for you, Kim. If you were to put Lamar versus Mercer, like how would you rate those two against each other? Because it's possible our friends, I'm going to use that lightly, to the south will end up there, and they struggled with Lamar. How do you see them doing if they do get to Mercer?
Well, can they control the quarterback? Can they control the passing game? And can Mercer stack up against that running game? Well, you know what? The one thing that the Southern Conference does well, and they didn't do a lot of things well this year collectively, but that's a league where you run the football and you run it early, often, and whenever anything is in doubt. So they have seen the power run game before 9 weeks in a row, because even the passing teams have it, and they do it well. So I'm not necessarily worried if Mercer's run defense can hold up. Last year, I mean, when they went in the Fargo Dome, they intercepted Cam Miller twice and had opportunities to make that a football game. Just as often happens in that building, once you make one mistake, NDSU takes advantage of it. And then you might have to punt. And then the next thing you know, you're down 14, then you're down 21, and it's, ball game over.
Yep.
But that's a good football team, the Mercer Bears. And since they made the quarterback change, it has been a very confident team. And that's going to be a squad nobody is going to be happy to see lined up from them on the other side of the field.
Okay. Well, Kevin, you have been wildly generous to the Jackrabbit Illustrated crew now the last 2 nights.
2 hours last night, man. I mean,
that was,
I didn't have enough.
Make church today?
I did, but I wish we'd have gone 3 because I had some zingers for Borg that I just couldn't work in there. I mean, the one that I did get to work in there is that if somebody mentioned a team from outer Mongolia, Borg would say, well, I covered that team when I was stationed in Tora Bora, So I mean,
that was funny though. That
was good. That was good.
And
but I love this
hang
episode.
Out with Thumper for 2 hours, man. Why do we have to do it at the end of the season and in parking lots? Right. Why don't we have an FCS cruise and and we all just get on a boat and have a good time?
Hey,
I don't think we can financially recover. That's why.
Well, there's that. Hey, but y'all have to remember, I was on that RV in Frisco. All right.
So on top of it.
No, that was not me. I kept my shirt on the entire time. But I do remember our friend Ben. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yes.
So beautiful.
TV interview. Tom Neiman's last interview. Oh, yeah. But Kevin, this is my second favorite episode we do all year long.
I appreciate that. I don't know.
I love having you on,
and this. But he's obviously more entertaining than me, and that's not.
No. He's a big recruitment guy and
gotcha.
guy.
Recruiting,
so
as
that
they say in the South.
Recruitment and preview is his jam. So
gotcha.
I may be speaking for you, Matt, but I've got a pretty good idea that that's what you really love.
My favorite episode is the recruiting episode when we do the recruiting class with whoever the head coach is at the time, and that's the recruiting coordinator.
Cruton.
And that's a blast.
That's right.
That's a blast.
That's spelled Crootin. Cruton. That's how people down in my part of the country say it. So
Odie-do.
Which is that's right. Which is a very, very inexact science these days, isn't it? I mean, the guys who are willing to put their name on that are brave ladies and gentlemen. That's for sure. Because you just don't ever know, especially at a level where it's all about development.
Yep. Hey, and one thing I really wanted to put this in rants and raves, didn't because it was hard to explain. I am proud of our fan base. Last night on that bus ride, on that bus trip back, there were at least 8 people that had their phones out watching the end of the Austin P Carleton game. And that was awesome to see because
gosh, I wanted P to win.
You know what? I'm guessing 5 years ago, 8 years ago, no one would care. No one would care enough to have their phone out to watch the end of that game. And that was just really cool to see because, yes, there were 8 phones, but there were 4 people huddled around each phone up and down the bus. And we were all cheering and kind of following along and stuff. So that was awesome. Just our fan base is growing and the FCS knowledge that they have. And it's because of people like you, Kevin, that are willing to, promote everyone. As your show says, you cover it all. And I just appreciate you coming on every year this weekend, sharing your knowledge with us and your passion. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you all. And, it's a labor of love for me. Before I ever got paid a nickel to do it, I was doing it, So, and I had an interesting conversation earlier today, and it's like for a lot of people in FCS, it's become so centered in y'all's part of the country because of the success of the teams that I've seen it all in 45 years of remembering FCS 1AA football. Appalachian State just had their 2005 national championship team. Richie Williams was their quarterback. He was a walk-on. I can go for just about every team that, and it was just refreshing, really, when the Dakota teams did join FCS to kind of introduce the fact that, the history in this subdivision goes back a long way. And the fact that people in that region of the country care about that because it wasn't them. I've met Jackrabbit fans who ask me questions like, so what was Armani Edwards like to watch in person? I've had Bison fans ask me about Adrian Peterson at Georgia Southern. They're interested. They ask good questions. They care. And I appreciate that. It's why we do what we do. We think we have the best brand of Division I football there is. It's football that on the field is played at a high level. It's played 99.9% of the time by young men who you wouldn't mind having around your supper table with your family. And it's kept in its proper perspective, and money hasn't ruined it yet. And I'm very hopeful that when people get jaded with what happens up at the next level, because I don't have the time or the inclination to really follow it. It's my job to cover FCS. So somebody asked me if I'm out and about here, what do you think about Washington? I don't know, man. I haven't seen them play, right? I got other things that I'm doing FCS wise, but I'm hopeful that as a country, that if we can get them to an FCS football game one time, if we can get them to tune in on ESPN Plus one time, they'll fall in love with college football again. And they'll remember what was once good and right and gave them that feeling in the pit of their soul and their heart that I love this. It's not that up at the FBS in a lot of places anymore, and the NCAA doesn't seem to get that. It's about regional rivalries. It's about the people that you work with, who are at the, at your job, who you talk about the games with. And I'm hopeful that there'll be a revival in this country of people who will look at FCS football and feel the way I feel about it. And I think we might get there. A couple of more things need to happen up at the next level, with it just being obvious that it's nothing but about money. And then I think we might see a lot of people just decide to maybe Hulk Hogan their FBS team T-shirt and then put on one of the FCS schools that's located in their area. I'm hopeful for that, and maybe we'll get there, but it's always a real pleasure. I look forward to this show every year. Hell, I text y'all things from my travels around the country, mostly from South Carolina, but, I'm thankful that I never get the, hey man, quit sending me this crap stuff, text message back. But, I'm very glad to have a lot of Jackrabbit friends who I've met and some who I haven't met yet. So I'm very pleased to do whatever y'all need me to do whenever you need me to do it. It's always a pleasure to come on here.
Yeah. Awesome.
Time for you too, Kev.
Yeah. Chad, any last thoughts?
Go big.
Go blue.
Go blue.
Go Dogs.
Go Jack.